some forecasts for next year. I suppose let's talk Brexit.
Okay, well, I can give you my feeling about what will happen in the Brexit process, but I think in a sense there's something even bigger than that we face as a nation going forward. By the way, politics to a futurist is a bit like what handbags are to alligators. It's a minefield. Any forecast you make has to have so many caveats attached.
Sure, particularly at the moment, though.
Yeah, it's such a febrile atmosphere. Look, I think what concerns me as a social futurist more than anything is that whatever happens with the Brexit deal-making process in the next 2 or 3 weeks, the longer-term impact on our trust in politics and in our civility to one another as a society is of importance. And look, let's face it, after Brexit, whatever happens, politicians are going to face an uphill battle to unite their own parties, much less the nation. And it's not just in politics. If you think back 10 years now, and the future only makes sense when you see it in the context of the past, every major foundational institution in our society, Ali, has been called into question, I suppose, in the last decade or so. It started with business and banks in the financial crisis. We saw it with police and the courts, the church, sadly, with child abuse, politics with MPs' expenses and Brexit. So low trust means low capacity to act. If we don't have trust in the institutions and those who lead them, they're not able to lead and pass policies that benefit us or affect our lives. And we can't leave the solution to that to politicians alone. We're all going to have to find ways to move beyond our little confirmation biases online to reach out to people who don't agree with us.
I only have to look at my timeline in the last month particularly, and there do seem to be a lot more distrust of politicians and the way things have been happening in Parliament in the last month or so. So do you think this is going to reach a peak as we head towards March and the big Brexit date, whatever happens with that?
I think it will, and I think afterwards we're going to have to deal with what I just mentioned, confirmation biases. It's one of the influences that social media has had on the political process in our country and the way we engage with it. Confirmation bias is, you used to have to talk to maybe 15 or 20 people to find one or two that really believe exactly what you believe when it comes to politics. Now you can do it instantly on Twitter or Instagram. Just look for the hashtag. And what that does is it sets up a bias, an information loop, we call it, where you're only really ever reading those who agree with you, your ideas are not challenged, your worldview isn't stretched, and you don't grow as a result. And that also sets us up for something we're seeing in politics now, which is false equivalence, where two ideas which are opposed, one of them has to be wrong because they're mutually exclusive, but they're both treated equally because we think that's tolerance, where we need to be able to robustly debate these things. And that's true in politics. It's become true in this country with universities as well.
That's